the meat thermometer, put it in the center of the loaf, and make sure it is in the center of the loaf and not touching the pan, because you're going to be getting the wrong reading. Now, during the roasting, baste it occasionally with the pan juices, or add some more of this wine business here. Oh, or you can just pour this around the meat like that, and those would be your pan juices. Remove from the oven and allow the meat to stand for 15 minutes before slicing it, or allow it to cool completely. Wrap it in foil and refrigerate. Now, this recipe would grace any table. Serve it hot or at room temperature within a day or two. I prefer this cut in very thin slices, serving 2 thin slices per person. Now, if they need more slices, let them eat cake. Or maybe in this case, serve some extra salad. This next recipe is a Pinkwood bacon salad dressing. Now, you might not associate Biltmore with country cooking, but believe it or not, this is a Biltmore recipe, and the chef there very graciously shared this family recipe with me. It makes a very generous amount of dressing. They entertained a lot, but it does keep indefinitely in the refrigerator. Here are the ingredients. 1 pound of bacon, cut in julienne strips. 1 medium onion diced. 2 1/2 cups celery, diced. 3/4 of a cup cider vinegar, and that is important, not white vinegar. 1/4 cup Dijon mustard, I think that's important too. 1 teaspoon of herb seasonings, and I like the seasonings with the tarragon in it. 1/2 teaspoon ground dried mustard, and 1/4 teaspoon white pepper. 2 cups of sugar, 1/4 teaspoon browning and seasoning sauce. Here we call that kitchen bouquet. And for thickening, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch mixed with 2 tablespoons of cold water. Now, saute your bacon until it's nice and crisp, and then drain off 2/3 of the pan drippings, leaving 1/3 of the pan drippings in. And then to that, add the celery and the onion right to the bacon, and saute that for 8 to 9 minutes. Then the next thing we're going to do is add the vinegar, turn it up to high, and reduce the vinegar by half. So you see, it is going to be, at this point, quite sour. And I've got it on as high as it'll get. You can spend a couple of days at Biltmore. And honestly, they prefer that it be called Biltmore, not the Biltmore. That's a hotel. This is a castle. And not only is the house spectacular, but so are the gardens. And be sure to visit the winery and the shops. And I like to shop like every woman, and I must tell you that each shop is different because it has a different buyer. And the merchandise is so well selected, as you would expect at a Vanderbilt estate. The place is, of course, gorgeous, but at the same time, you have this really warm feeling about the whole ambience. And you can tell that a family lived there, and a family that had a very good sense of values. Now, to this, we're going to pretend this is reduced half, and I suspect it's come close to it. We're going to add the Dijon mustard and the seasonings right here, the sugar, and then the kitchen bouquet. Now, this is just a browning thing, but whoops, hey, that really ran out of there fast. And one of the cooks told me that. I didn't take her seriously. There we go. You need 1/4 of a teaspoon, and I see I have a little mustard here. Get that in. This is used as a just an enhancer of color and flavor, and it would be our edition of the French demi-glace, and a lot of chefs use it as well. Now, mix up the cornstarch and the water and add this to the hot mixture, and it will immediately start to thicken. And then, after it's all thick and nice and boiled together, cool it, transfer it to a glass jar, and refrigerate it. It keeps indefinitely. Now, to serve, what you want to do is allow about 2 tablespoons of this dressing per person, and 1 for the pot. And I'm pretending that we've got a big salad here for 3 people. So you reheat this in the microwave, as I said to you, allowing 2 tablespoons per person, and then put it hot over the mixture of the greens. Now, I like it best served hot over spinach and endive and red onions for color. And I don't think that the spinach, and I know it doesn't, the spinach and the endive will not wilt down as quickly as does a softer lettuce. So toss this up. Always put your heavy ingredients on the bottom and put the lettuce on top. And then by the time you finish tossing, you see the very ingredients you want to show are right there on top, just the way they should be. Here we have it served on a single plate, or you can put the whole bowl on the buffet or pass it at the table. Now, a most appropriate dessert for today, to end this wonderful menu, would be to pass a dish of transparent puddings, which are really cookies, but they resemble and taste like tiny flat chess pies. Here are the ingredients. 1 recipe of pie pastry, 1 cup of butter, room temperature, 2 cups minus 2 tablespoons of sugar, 2 tablespoons of light corn syrup, a pinch of salt, 2 eggs, 1 teaspoon vanilla, and 1/4 teaspoon ground mace. The first thing you want to do is roll out the pastry, and I use the yellow butter-flavored vegetable shortening pastry that's in all of my cookbooks. Roll it out to about an 8-inch thick. Then, using a 4-inch cutter, and that's a crimped one, these come in all sizes, cut out 36 rounds and press them into shallow tart pans like this. See how shallow these are? These are not mini muffin pans. They're called tart pans, and I'll talk more about those later. And you will need 3 of these because it makes 36 tartlets altogether. Some of them will not be perfect, but you'll just have to eat those up. Now, in the top of a double boiler, this is what you want to do. Melt the butter, and to this, add the sugar and the corn syrup. And let's get that here. Here we have it. And a speck of salt. There we are. And here's the salt. And then just combine this by hand. Don't use the electric mixer because you make it too frothy. Then you want to add the eggs one at a time, beating well until each egg is incorporated. And so this is what we're going to do here. Always crack an egg first in another dish to make sure you don't have any shell or a bloody egg. And then whip that in. Again, don't overbeat this mixture. This is a very firm egg. Well, you know, out here we have really strong hens and roosters. All right, we're ready to do the second one, like this. Get this in. I happen to really like this cookie because I am a freak about chess pies. And actually, recipes for this confection appeared mostly in Kentucky and Pennsylvania cookbooks when I was doing my research. And they're always called transparent puddings, which is sort of an interesting name, I think. Now, then we're going to add the vanilla and the mace and combine that. However, there's more to this story I want to tell you. The particular recipe actually was found in Hannah Glass's book, dated way back in 1796 in England. Now, cook this over hot, but not boiling water, until the sugars have dissolved. And that's going to take about 10 or 15 minutes. Now, Hannah Glass was one of the very first cookbook authors that we had, and she was English, of course. Now, here's what it looks like when it's all finished. See, isn't this lovely? You have this beautiful, really, chess pie filling. Then you want to fill each tart 2/3 full, and that's important that you used very little because this stuff boils up and sometimes it boils over. Not to worry, a 1/2 tablespoon is quite perfect. It doesn't look like it will be, but trust me, it works. There we are, see? Now, I make up these tartlets like this, and sometimes I fill them with other things, such as shrimp salad, or crab salad, or perhaps cream cheese with some caviar on top, and it makes a really quick hors d'oeuvre. So you can use these tart pans for other things. I get them from Fantes, F-A-N-T-E-S, which is a wonderful cookware shop in Philadelphia. Actually, he has 2 cookware shops, and both are good, but the one downtown is really fantastic because it's right in the Italian section, and it's a fun place to go. There we are. Now, if any of these cook over during the baking, and they probably will, not to worry, immediately loosen the edges of the tartlets and just with a pair of scissors, trim off the part that has run over. Actually, I don't think you have to expect perfection in these cookies any more than you have to expect perfection in anybody else, and you'll be a lot happier. Now bake these at 375 degrees, and then only for 15 to 20 minutes directly on the rack. Cool them slightly in the pans, and remove to wire racks and cool completely. They do store well, but put layers of wax paper or napkins between the layers of cookies and freeze. These are delightful mini desserts, and they're firm enough to travel well. Do consider this recipe for the next cookie swap at Christmas. They're very unusual. All of these recipes will serve you well if you're entertaining. They're distinctly flavored, and you can make them well in advance. The stuffed filet of beef is indulgent, elegant, but practical. It's a dynamic entree. And here we have the bacon salad dressing from Biltmore on some tossed greens. It has a very robust taste with a piquant sweet and sour flavor that makes it ideal with creamy foods such as macaroni and cheese or gratin potatoes. And keep in mind the transparent puddings, a first-class confection. They freeze very well and are always a hit.